Well, hello there, and welcome to our course. Thought I would start off with just an image that I enjoy looking at, and I'm just finishing up my morning meditation, which is a self-care practice that I have come to rely on to infuse me, and I hope that you all are practicing good self-care habits. I'm going to go ahead and bring our course over in now, and we'll take a look at our Canvas course. So this is Geology 6351, and we are going to be looking at mapping and cartography. There is an emphasis on natural resources and sustainability and resource management. So you will get some scientific background in that, along with exercises to help you build skills for mapping and cartography. I want to just do a quick tour of our Canvas site and show you basically how to navigate and find all of the resources and give you some suggested ways to interact with our material. So this is the home page. You can always get to this home page by clicking on Home on your Canvas options or your table of contents, which are listed in blue over here on the left. Home is always at the top. And I've got some course quick links for you here where you can jump into a particular module right from the home page. And that's really all that I set on the home page. So if you're working in the course and you start to get lost, or back and next buttons aren't working for you anymore, go ahead and use this navigational tool for you. The next thing that I want to show you are announcements, and I will be posting announcements each week, and they will be giving you an overview of what's coming up for the week and any major changes that you need to be aware of. I will also send out this announcement in a Canvas message, and the Canvas inbox is the best way to get a hold of me. I am not a full-time faculty at the University of Texas in Permian Basin, so I am not looking at that particular email several times a day, but I do look at the Canvas inbox every day, and I also look at my personal email every day. And so if you can access the Canvas inbox, that is the best way to get a hold of me. If I don't, for some reason, reply to you within 24 or certainly 48 hours, then please send me an email to my personal email, and you can find that in the welcome letter. And so that's one of the first things that I want you to do is read my welcome letter. You can get there by going to the orientation module, and I'm clicking on the link right here in the announcement. And I'm going to switch over to student view because you are seeing what's behind the curtain, and all of this are modules that are coming up, but I just want to focus on what we're going to do in week one, because as you can see, as I started to scroll down, we've got plenty to keep us busy this week. Okay, so here's our orientation module. I do want you to read through the orientation module. This is the first thing that I want you to do. My welcome letter is going to tell you some background about me, and it's also going to point you to our discussion board. Our discussion board is where I want you to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about you. And this is completely on your own terms. You can share whatever you want. It is not graded, and you are not required to share anything but what you choose. I hope that you are all aware of the fact that anything online can be shared without your permission. And even if it's illegal to do so, it's still very easy to do so. So just always go by the rule of thumb that I learned a long time ago when I started teaching online is if you wouldn't want it in your front yard or on the front page of your local newspaper, don't put it online because anybody could get a hold of that. And you, especially these days, you are judged and evaluated oftentimes by your online presence. Now, there's some things that we can't control, and sometimes we will have content on there that we're not really proud of, but make sure that it's not content that you generated. Okay, I'll let you read a little bit about me. There I am back when I was a turtle wrangler, and yes, that is actually a term. And then one of your students has already posted in there, so I will let you enjoy this on your own. So I'm going to back up to the level of modules. And so another way that you can get to modules besides that splash page that I showed you on the home page is to click on modules over here in the table of contents. One thing that I want you to be careful about in using the table of contents is I don't want you to go in, say, and look for assignments for this week in the table of contents. And the reason is that oftentimes I have activities that I want you to do before the assignment, and I may have a certain order of things, and it's important for you to go through that order. In general, I want you to follow the order that you're going to find in your weekly module and not necessarily rely on your table of contents. Now, if you are investing sufficient time in the course, this isn't a concern for me, but I've had students in the past who do get behind, or maybe it's just habits that they've developed where they just want to jump in and do what's due this week. And that's not going to serve you in this class. You do not have a textbook that you need to purchase, so all of your reading materials are going to be found in my modules. They may take you to external websites, but everything that you need to do to get ready for the assessment or get move you towards being ready for your final exam or your course project are going to be found in those modules. And so I do invest a great deal of thought into the order of things in there. Please follow that order. It's going to make both of our lives much easier. So for week one, it is going to cover an introduction to map design and geovisualization. Let me show you briefly what you'll expect for the layout in each week. There will be a welcome page, and then there will be an introduction page, and I'll show you in a moment how those two are different. This week, there is another link leading you to that introduction discussion board. Let me pause here and do a little side note on there are often several ways to navigate within a course. I always try to set my course up so you can get anywhere in two ways. And so there is redundancy. Now, some of you may think, well, this is redundant. I saw this somewhere else. Oftentimes, though, if you're confused, if you get a little bit lost, it really does help you to have more than one path back home or onward to the next step that I want you to focus on. So, yes, you will see things that are redundant. If you ever have a question on are there really two assignments? Are there two discussion boards for introducing ourselves or just one? Feel free to send me a quick email. Okay, moving back to our weekly module organization. Moving on after the introductory pages, which you will see the introduction and the welcome in each week, and the discussion board will not be at the top each week, but it is this week. You will find lecture materials, and for the lecture materials, there will be a page here, and I'll go ahead and open this up and show you what the content looks like. And this is where you will find what you would expect in a face-to-face classroom for a lecture delivered by a professor. I give you the specific sections of your free resources that I want you to read. I give you PowerPoint slides, and these slides match the videos that you will find posted here. You can get closed captioning on all of the videos as they are YouTube videos. And you will get notes and tips. So one thing that's kind of odd about week one, I have 2 sets of PowerPoint slides, but there's 3 videos because I had a time constraint happening on my computer. And so uh, part 2 had to be truncated, and I apologize for that. But all of these lectures go with these 2 sets of slides. So it shouldn't be too difficult to navigate. Part 1 and part 2 go with lecture week part 1, and then part 3 actually goes with lecture week part 2. Just know these are all the slides that I will cover. It is highly suggested that you look over the slides before lecture, and that you can then be familiar with the material. And so you're not seeing it new for the first time. You're doing your second consumption of those slides. And in addition to your background reading, that should set you up for great success in absorbing and processing the lecture materials. The next thing in each module will be readings for exercises. And so you'll notice here I have sections 1.1, what is a map, all the way down to 1.24, which is a group of sections on geospatial technology, competencies, and map types. So this is another way that I am delivering up for you reading material. So this not only covers concepts, but skill sets and specific examples that will help you to get ready for the next section of our module, which is your week 1 assignments. So this week I want you to complete a discussion board, and is location intelligence revolutionary or innovative? And in the discussion board, I give you some resources to consider before you discuss. Discussion boards are graded, except for the introductory one. And you need to do an initial post by Wednesday of each week, and then you need to reply to another student by Sunday. Please keep on top of your discussion boards. I designed them to not only do the best we can to replicate that face-to-face or that dynamic interaction that we could have in a face-to-face class in terms of dialogue and sharing of thoughts and a conversation. So please contribute. That's why I give you points for it. I'm not very harsh on the grading. As long as you're in there and you're thinking about what I've asked you to think about, and you're supporting each other and conversing with each other, you will get full credit. But it's really important to stay tight on those deadlines. Again, your initial post by Wednesday of each week, and then I want you to comment on your classmates. Now, there are some discussion boards that are absolutely set up to help you share ideas related to your project. And this is where I'm really hoping to create a rich classroom support environment. It's really great when you're doing a new kind of project, which you will be creating what are called ESRI story maps. That's probably new for most of you. It's great to get input and support from others. Please do rely on me, and feel free to ask me any questions. As always, I will have a complete introduction to your project at a later date. And then also rely on each other, because collectively, as adult humans, we know far more as a group than I will ever know in my lifetime. So let's leverage that knowledge and the infusion of inspiration that can come from dialogue. And then here is a assignment for the week, and it's maps as tools, interpretation, and then there are exercise instructions, and there is a document and a quiz. Let me explain for you how the document and quiz work in this course. So for each of the weekly exercises, after you've done the reading for those exercises, you will then write up some reflections. So in the exercises, which you see here called exercise 1 instructions, and there's a few little points in there, I'll let you discover what that is. I want to make sure you're looking at it carefully. After you've done the step-by-step hands-on working with data, creating maps, analyzing and interpreting maps, and considering charts, graphs, and other types of information with maps, that's the nitty-gritty and the bare bones of cartography skills and mapping skills. After you've done that, I ask you to reflect. It's generally 4 or 5 questions, and I put the Word document in there for you to use as a template. I want you to write out your responses. I want you to spell check them. I want you to grammar check them. They do not have to be as spiffy as a final draft of a PhD dissertation, but they do need to be coherent and articulate. Once you have thought about your questions and you've formulated your answers, when you jump into the quiz portion, you'll see it is in fact a repeat of the questions that you just worked with in that Word document. So then you can copy and paste what you need to into the quiz. So let me summarize that really quickly. You will work on the questions that are reflections of your lab work in the Word document. You can see that it is a .docx, and there's also a paperclip icon, which tells us it's a file. When you have finished writing up your responses and spell checking and grammar checking, you'll jump into the quiz and you'll copy and paste. So the word quiz in this sense, it shouldn't be anything that invokes test anxiety. I hope it's not, because while it is an assessment, if you put in effort and you're using the resources that I provide for you, you're not going to go astray. You're not going to give me any wrong answers. The only time I take points off is for late assignments or if you have incomplete assignments. So put some effort into it. If I expect a paragraph and you leave me a truncated, short, kind of half sentence, well, I'm not going to give you full points for that. And again, I'm not looking for wrong answers. In fact, my teaching style is not one of looking for wrong answers. And you will find that as we go along. This course is really based on assessing you on your efforts and skill building. And I give you lots of opportunities to do that. Okay, then you will have a page that is a wrap up of the week. So let's go ahead and peek in there. And it's pretty simple. It will list for you what you should have turned in, and you will be given a little congratulations. So please, I hope that none of you are looking in here to say, oh, what do I need to turn in this week? And then going right to that resource, but I do leverage the power of Canvas linkages. And if you were to click right on here, we'll go ahead and take a look at it because we're here. Here is an example of that quiz. Now, don't be intimidated by the length of this introduction. I do it for clarity. You will get all of these instructions, and here's that Word document that I mentioned. So here are my 5 questions reflecting on the week's work. And you'll notice this might be redundant for some of you, and it is a tool that I set up to help navigate you in an online course. And it is taking a little time this morning. And here is our Word document. So you'll see these were the instructions that you've already followed, but if you need to review them again, I do provide you a link. That's what your web page is going to look like. And here's your 5 questions. They're worth 4 points each. You can go right in, craft your answers in this Word document, and when you are ready, I suggest saving it on your own system. And then you can go in, access our quiz, and when you begin and take the quiz, you will find that these are questions that you have already seen before, and you will be given a spot right here. If I had copied and pasted text, let's see, what was the last thing I was working on? Well, it isn't liking what I would have to paste on my clipboard. So you can just imagine that you could copy and then paste your reply here. Now you can go into the quiz and craft your answers right there. I don't recommend it. Of course, you have free will in a lot of areas of your life, and that's up to you. But please try my suggested method, and let's see if that works for you. I hope that it does. I have found it gives great success. If you have any questions about that or confusion, please feel free to contact me. Okay, one thing that I do want to show you here in our introduction, but you really won't have access to until a couple more weeks. I'm not sure when I'm going to open it up, but soon. I do want to show you briefly that there is a project resources and guidelines. I'm not opening that up this week because we have a lot to do and I want to try to prevent cognitive overload. I don't want you getting overwhelmed, but we will be going through project guidelines and project proposal guidelines. You will have a graded project proposal, and this here is a project proposal template, which there's the magic behind the curtain. I'm not supposed to show you that, but I just rearranged the order of that because I want you to have access to the template before you have access to the quiz, which are, as you have seen in the exercise, they're the same questions. This template is a working document for you. All right, and I'm going to go back to our student view and I will close up my introduction with you on showing you this module here at the bottom, and it's called Helpful Course Resources. I'm going to be putting in different kinds of resources in there and websites and articles and things that I discover along the way. There's already some in there to get you started if you're interested in looking at them. I'll show you an example here. This is Cynthia Brewer's Color Brewer, and it is a really great website for looking and seeing how do colors go together um, in terms of making different kinds of maps. And so you can see here, if you have a certain data set, you can compare how does it look using a single hue approach versus a multi-hue approach. That's one example. You could also see what does that look like if I have diverging data. And I can also then see what does it look like if I have qualitative data. And so this is really designed to let you preview what your data is going to look like. And this will make more sense after you've completed a few more labs. But it's really, this is one of my favorite parts of cartography. My background is very, very strong in science in all of my academic endeavors, but I also have a very creative and artistic side. I do have a side business where I create. I work with wood flowers and I work with all different types of wood and resin, and I have a very strong artistic nature as well. And my favorite thing about being a geographer is that maps are a great blending of both art and science. Okay, so that's just one resource that I will provide for you. I'll mention it when we get to that part of the course where it's going to be useful for your lab. And also, I want to note that there is a discussion board for exercise questions, and this is free range for you. As long as you remember our rules of netiquette, which you'll find in our orientation module, you're free to help each other out there. And please know that I am always here to help you, so I'm going to show you again. I'm not sure where I am in the course, so I'm going to go to home, and it takes me right back to my splash page. And I can jump into the modules. I could also go to a particular part of the course. Let's say I wanted to get back into our discussion board for the introduction and I couldn't remember where it was. I can click on discussions and say, there it is, and it will take me right to it. I hope you've enjoyed this tour and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you for being here.